Today's newspaper is on the counter. Times dated June 19th, 1993. A front-page article describes the most recent of the voodoo murders. Gabriel scans it but learns nothing new. The article reiterates that the voodoo aspect of the crime is faked. Gabriel shivers. It looked real enough to him. Elsewhere, there's an article about the history of Jackson Square, called the Plaza d'Armes under French rule. It was used for executions, firing squads, hangings, even impalements and breaking on the wheel. Yikes! Of course, these days, it's mostly a hangout for tourists, street musicians, and local artists. Gabriel also scans the Aquarius horoscope for the day. Chances of a dark star rising on this day. Do not trust your instincts.
I feel a dark star rising, all right. Got a minute, Grace?
What's up?
What can you tell me about St. John's Eve?
St. John's Eve? Never heard of it. Must be a local custom. New Orleanians love to party.
Do you have any idea what Cabri Sanko means?
No. Sounds French, though.
Do you know anything about animal masks?
I'd rather not hear about your sex life, Knight.
Do you know anything about Marie Laveau?
Wasn't she a big voodoo queen before the Civil War?
That's right.
Well, you've just heard everything I know about her.
Do you have messages for me?
Nope, none right now.
Tell me about yourself, Grace.
What do you want to know?
Nothing, I guess. Never mind. Could you do some research for me?
Sure, what?
I need you to look up a Madame Casino.
Madame Casino? Is she related to the murders the same way your friend Molly Aghetti was?
Grace, Casino's at least 70.
As if that makes a difference to you. Okay, I'll see what I can find. Well, it's about closing time.
So it is. Good night, Gracie.
Good night, Gabriel. And try not to dream, okay? I'm so glad you could join us today. I've got messages when you want them. I also checked out Casino. There are multiple listings in the white pages. I got the page, but you'll have to figure out the right one.
Great. Thanks.
Now, are you gonna tell me what happened yesterday with Malia Getty, or is it just too embarrassing? Don't tell me you actually got to see her.
All the stars out tonight.
Gabriel, you don't seriously think she's interested. She can have any man in the city. You know, men with bank accounts.
You underestimate the Knight family's tragic poet samurai appeal. When Daddy married Mom, she was the hottest catch in town.
I always suspected there was something fishy in your family tree. But seriously, I think you should be careful.
Meow, Grace.
I'm serious. I don't know why, but I have a bad feeling in the pit of my stomach about this.
It's called jealousy, my dear. And you're right, you should be jealous of Malia Getty. As should every woman on this planet.
I just... never mind. I'll just fix these books. Your life is in your own slippery little hands.
The point is to get it into somebody else's hands. And soon.
Somewhere there's a Norlands phone book missing one of its C pages.
Got a minute, Grace?
What's up?
Do you have messages for me?
Your pal Mosley called. He left a message that they are interrogating a suspect this morning, and you might want to be there.
Sounds fun.
I bet.
Do you have messages for me?
I've given everything to you.
Do you have messages for me?
Nope, none right now.
Tell me about yourself, Grace.
What do you want to know?
Nothing, I guess. Never mind. Could you do some research for me?
Sure, what?
I can't think of anything.
Today's newspaper is on the counter. Times dated June 20th, 1993. Gabriel scans over an uninteresting front page. Under the cultural events section, there's a notice about a lecture on African religions. The lecture is at Tulane University. Gabriel's horoscope for the day. An evil eye is upon you. Change your course before it's too late.
Lighten up.
Times dated June. Under the Gabriel.
Lighten.
The phone is cheap, but functional.
Hello, I'm calling from the Dixieland drugstore. We have an order for you.
Castro, be quiet. Who is this?
I'm a friend of the owner.
I'm sure I don't know what you're talking about.
This is Melissa.
Do you have a Madame Casino as a client?
Madame Casino? Sure, I know her. She's not here right now, though.
Really? She told me she'd be there. Would you happen to have her address by any chance?
Yes, but I'm not sure I should give it out. Who are you again?
I'm worried about Castro. He's missed 3 dance lessons.
Castro? Her little doggy? Oh, he's so sweet. Well, I guess if you know Castro, it's okay. Her address is 345 Dauphine.
Thanks. Do you know anything about snakes?
Our doctors see just about any type of animal, but we don't get many snakes.
Okay, thanks. Know anything about animal sacrifice?
What are you, some kind of sicko? Cajun Critters Animal Clinic. This is Melissa.
Sorry, wrong number.
Whatever.
Hi. Hello, I'm calling from the Dixieland drugstore. We have an order for you.
Hush, Castro. I told you I don't know what you're talking about.
I pick your brain a minute?
Go ahead. These folks ain't in no hurry.
Food, trinkets, and more unsettling things have been left at Marie Laveau's tomb as offerings from believers.
Malia?
Mr. Knight, what are you doing here?
My family's tomb is here.
Mine too.
Unnoticed. Subtle.
Well, Mr. Knight, if there's nothing else,
Don't go. I need to talk to you.
whatever for?
I can't stop thinking about you. I bet in your thoughts too, I can see it in your eyes.
Mr. Knight, you don't know anything about me. I'm not in a position to get involved.
I've said that a million times myself, but this is different. I think we both know we can't fight it. Oh, I can't believe I'm saying this.
I have so many obligations. My family is very traditional. You wouldn't understand.
Hey, I love tradition. I've seen Fiddler on the Roof 100 times.
This isn't a musical, Mr. Knight. We live in different worlds.
Look, I know you got more money than God. Do you think I care? Do you think that's why I'm saying this?
No, I don't.
Why don't you come see my world? I've got a little bookshop, St. George's on Berkeley.
I know.
See, I knew it. You're crazy about me, too. Come by tonight. Please? My world isn't so bad.
I'm sorry, but there's no place for someone like you in my life. Not now, not ever.
Damn it.
An angel draped dramatically over a stone plinth marks the entrance to a large tomb.
Mind if I pick your brain a minute?
Go ahead. These folks ain't in no hurry.
An artist is taking advantage of the fine weather.
How's it going today?
What? Oh, it's only you. Man, I have been jumpy all day. That pattern of yours really freaked me out for some reason. There's just something creepy.
You finished it?
Yeah, and you're welcome to it. Here.
Wow. This is great.
Yeah, just don't, like, blow up the planet with it or something, okay?
I didn't mean to upset you.
Forget it. I'm probably just being stupid. Do your thing with it, and, good luck.
The artist's reconstruction of the voodoo murders pattern looks accurate to Gabriel. Something about it seems vaguely familiar and creepy. The reconstructed Veve was done for Gabriel by a technical artist. Madame Lorelei, the fortune teller, is garbed in a belly dancer's outfit and wears a boa around her neck. A real boa. Madame Lorelei seems less approachable when she's behind that booth. A Cajun band, inventive as always with their instruments, is having a good old time on the lawn. Funny how catchy that toe tapping can be.
Come on, boys, hoopla! Thanks, boys.
Madame Lorelei, is it?
What can I do for you, handsome?
How's business?
How's business? I have no time for such dull conversation, darling.
How about a reading?
The prices are listed on the sign.
They seem a little steep.
Well, I sometimes do my intimate friends for nothing, but I am a businesswoman.
I'm sure you are. That's a nice snake you have there.
Oh, I could say the same of you.
Well, I know where I got mine. Where'd you get yours?
That's personal.
I'd really like to know more about that snake.
Oh, sorry, sweetie, but I don't discuss Elvis with anyone.
Oh, nothing.
Well, then move aside, sweetie, but stay where I can look at you, okay? Come on, boys, hoopla!
Not a bad idea. Baby, I love the way you move.
Madame Lorelei winks knowingly at Gabriel and twitches her hips.
Yep, she wants me.
Thanks, boys.
It's a silken veil. The veil belongs to the fortune teller. It's covered with shiny, iridescent sequins. Gabriel examines the veil with the magnifying glass. The fortune teller's veil is studded with sequins. The sequins look a little strange. Why, it's a snake scale. There's a snake scale caught on the veil. Gabriel carefully uses the tweezers to remove the snake scale from the veil. Gabriel has a scale from the fortune teller's boa. The iridescent scale is hued olive green. It doesn't seem to match the scale from Lake Pontchartrain. The iridescent scale. The iridescent scale. The iridescent. That doesn't work that way. Gabriel can't see a way to use that.
Madame Lorelei, is it?
What can I do for you, handsome?
Could you just do a short reading for an intimate friend?
Darling, you toy with me. If I thought you were serious, but no, I must stay firm.
I think this veil belongs to you.
Oh, my veil! I'm always losing those things. You have no idea. Well, darling, you're such a sweetie to return a lady's delicates, and so handsome as well.
Well,
And since you have such a clear interest in fortune-telling, let me see your hands. They look so strong. Perhaps they will make both our fortunes clear, no?
I wish something would.
Strong, yes, and yet so delicate and flexible.
You don't know the half of it.
Oh, good. I see a mysterious woman in your immediate future.
Madame Lorelei winks at Gabriel knowingly.
She is a dangerous one, dark and beautiful. Oh, I see the road of your life forking, and very soon.
The blood drains from Madame Lorelei's face in an instant. Sweat beads on her upper lip.
Are you okay?
There are forces. Oh, God. Beware. Beware.
What is it about me lately?
Madame Lorelei's booth is deserted. Gabriel wouldn't mind picking up a few extra bucks by using Madame Lorelei's booth while she's gone, but he doesn't know how to belly dance. The chancel of St. Louis Cathedral. At least the cherub is an aesthetic way of asking for donations. Gabriel might need the goodwill, but he can't afford to make a donation right now. Curtain confessionals are a subtle, old-fashioned presence on the left of the nave. Someone is in that confessional. Gabriel will have to wait. Curtain confession. A padded bench provides a soft place for supplicating knees. A meshed window provides access to the confessional from the priest's booth. Gabriel can't take the kneeler. The panel behind the mesh window moves from the other side.
May I help you, my child?
Could you give me a blessing?
Do you feel the need for a blessing?
You wouldn't believe me if I told you.
All right, if it will comfort you.
The priest blesses Gabriel through the confessional window.
Peace be with you, son.
Thank you, Father.
Is there anything else?
Can I ask you a few questions?
The confessional is not the best place for interviews, son. You can contact the parish offices if you need private counseling.
I understand. Thanks, Father.
Is there anything else?
Could you give me a blessing?
Are you in trouble, my child?
Is the Pope... yeah, you could say that, Father.
Then I hope this helps.
The priest blesses Gabriel through the confessional window.
Is there anything else?
Could you give me a blessing?
Would that comfort you, son?
It couldn't hurt.
Very well.
The priest blesses Gabriel through the confessional window.
Is there anything else?
Could you give me a blessing?
Do you feel the need for a blessing?
You wouldn't believe me if I told you.
All right, if it will comfort you.
The priest blesses Gabriel through the confessional window.
Peace be with you, son.
Thank you, Father.
Is there anything else?
Could you give me a blessing?
Are you in trouble, my child?
Is the Pope...
Is there any...
I'd like to make a confession.
All right, if it'll make you feel better.
I've had impure thoughts about a woman I met.
Impure thoughts? You mean thoughts of sexual relations?
You could say that, but worse than what you mean.
Worse? You mean extreme sexual relations?
Well, not involving animals or anything.
Oh, well. Perhaps we should just leave it at that. Pray for forgiveness and say 10 rosaries. Is there anything else?
I've done some pretty rotten things to my friend Mosley.
Rotten? What do you mean?
Practical jokes, insults, among other things.
I see. Are you sorry?
Well...
Pray for forgiveness and say 3 rosaries. Is there anything else?
I haven't paid my assistant for 3 months.
Have you had the money?
Nope.
Sounds like a matter for the courts, son, not the church. Is there anything else?
Some people say I'm a selfish person, Father.
We can always strive to improve ourselves. Patterns can be broken.
Yes. Thank you, Father.
Is there anything else?
I think I just need to give an overall apology to the universe.
I see. Apology noted.
Thanks, Father.
Is there anything else?
I've had a lot of women, Father.
A lot? More than 10?
Yes, Father.
More than 20?
Yes, Father.
More than 40?
Yes, Father.
Son, I don't think this is a matter for a priest. I think you need a good therapist.
If we're counting therapists, then I'm up to at least, let's see here, count either one, and, this might take a while.
My son, I'm afraid my lunch break is coming on about now. Pray for forgiveness and say 20 rosaries. On second thought, when you finish the math, say that many rosaries.
Gabriel hears him leave the confessional.
I should probably add one more rosary for that while I'm at it. I've been a bad boy.
A meshed window provides. There is no one there to hear Gabriel's wicked confessions anymore. The panel behind the mesh window moves from the other side. The confessional is empty, and there doesn't seem to be a priest behind the window right now. Gabriel can't take the... A padded bench provides a soft place for supplicating knees.
I've always wondered how the other half lives.
The priest's side of the confessional is made of well-oiled wood. There's also a box under the shelf on this side. The mesh window on this side has a wooden door that slides open to let the priest hear confession. He hears someone enter and kneel down on the other side.
Father, I'd like to make a confession.
Go on, my son.
I've recently come into a large sum of money.
I don't really see a problem with that.
It's not that. It's how I got it. I literally found a suitcase of money. So I picked it up and took it instead of telling the police or trying to find who it belonged to.
Give it up to charity.
Of course. Why didn't I think of that? Thanks, Father.
The man leaves the confessional.
Now I can say I did one good deed today.
He hears someone enter and kneel down on the other side.
Bless me, Father, for I have sinned.
Do go on.
I've had impure thoughts about men, Father.
Surely it can't be all that bad.
Oh, it is, Father. No, I can't say that to a priest.
Don't worry about that, sweetheart. You say whatever you need to. In detail.
You don't sound like a priest.
But how can you cleanse your mind unless you fully express your sins, my child?
Aren't you just supposed to tell me to say rosaries or something?
We'll get to that. But first...
No offense, Father, but I think I'll try another confessional.
The young woman leaves the confessional. The mesh window. Gabriel's calling is decidedly not hearing confessions. Not in a church, anyway. The priest's side. Gabriel's call. There's a box under the shelf of the priest's confessional. Inside the box, Gabriel finds a priest's collar and some oil used for blessing. Inside the box, that oil is for holy purposes, not the sort of thing Gabriel would want to use it for. Inside the box, Gabriel can't use the collar. Gabriel can't use the collar while it's in the box.
You never know when a priest's collar will come in handy.
That oil is... Inside the box is... Inside the box is some oil used for blessing. It's a white priest's collar. There's no reason to wear that at the moment.
Night. Don't get personal.
There's no reason.
It looks like my priest outfit is complete.
There's no reason to wear that at the moment. There's no reason.
May I help you? It's you. Ms. Geddy is not at home, sir.
Can you tell me where she is? It's very important.
She's visiting her mother's grave, Mr. Knight. Something even you can't be tasteless enough to want to interrupt.
There's no reason to wear that at the moment. Looks like the lecture is just starting.
Voodoo is the tribal religion of Africa, but the name Voodoo is actually a banner heading, under which resides an entire body of distinct tribal belief systems. The word voodoo may sound familiar to you. What is known in the States as voodoo is actually an amalgamation of African religious systems Voodoo, and European religions, primarily Catholicism. All of these subcults of African voodoo have certain things in common. The most important is the worship of a pantheon of spirits, instead of the single deity that the Christian and Muslim systems have. Some of these spirits are elementals. Some relate to specific tasks or places. Some represent important tribal leaders who have died. This spirit worship is what makes voodoo so easily adaptable. With all these spirits, it's no problem to add a few more. Say, for example, the Virgin Mary. At the height of tribal Africa, warfare was common. One tribe would conquer another, and the Loa, important in the conqueror's tribal system, would be adopted readily into the conquered tribe's Loa pantheon. In this way, many of the voodoo cults spread and mingled throughout tribal Africa, enriching the belief system and causing innumerable offshoots. The basis for the voodoo religion seems to be as old as man himself. It has much in common with many early pagan practices: animal totems, sympathetic magic, elemental spirits in the trees, the heavens, the bodies of the sick. Africa is believed by many to be the cradle of the human race. Some of the voodoo Loa may be as old as the Garden of Eden itself. We still can't explain some of the real power of these primal religions. And note, I said primal, not primitive. There are African Bokors who baffle our scientists with their supernatural powers. Now, let's discuss the elements of voodoo.
Fascinating guy.
In voodoo, the spirits are called the Loa. During a voodoo ceremony, celebrants are possessed by the Loa. This is called being ridden. The human worshipper is seen as a horse, and the Loa as the divine horseman. A person being ridden by a Loa takes on the characteristics of that spirit and becomes, in effect, merely a vessel for the more powerful entity. Some of the older original Africa Loa include Dambala, the great serpent god, Ezuli, the mistress of love, Papa Nebo, or Gede, the lord of death, Awe, the spirit of water, Legba, spirit of the crossroads, and the cruelest and most dangerous, Ogun Badagri, the lord of destruction.
I gotta get more sleep at night.
Tribe-specific Loa can have as much or more power as the more widely worshipped Loa. For instance, a particular tribe might revere highly the Loa of an ancestor who was a legendary hunter or politician. Voodoo temples are called Houndfors. Their priests, Houngan or Bokors, their priestesses, Mama Loa. In a Voodoo Houndfor, there's a ritual circle marked by a center pole called a Poto Meton. During ritual conclaves, initiates dance under the supervision of a Bokor and a Mama Loa, or head priestess. The use of totems or animal masks and markings was not uncommon in the original African ceremonies. Now, though, all but the oldest sects have abandoned this practice. Ritual objects used during the conclaves included the ritual gourd, or asan, the ritual knife, or kubasa.
That knife gives me the chills.
The ritual whip, or fouetcache, and the ritual coffin, or seke madule. These items are often optional, called for by the Mama Loa for specific magical rituals. The Mama Loa is the most powerful figure in any voodoo sect. Voodoo is a truly matriarchal system. Even the Bokor knows his power is limited. The Mama Loa is the supreme woman. She comes out of her house at night, sees many things, and tries to get butterflies. And at night again, she sees other things, including fireflies.
Firelight. Gabriel?
What? Can't see.
Gabriel, get in.
Can't. It's too small for me.
You must get in, Gabriel.
It's not mine. Too small.
Hide, Gabriel. Hide.
No. Let me out. Help!
Young man, the lecture is over.
Oh my God. Sorry.
seats are the fold-down kind.
I've spent all the time in those chairs that I care to.
A projection screen dominates the front of the hall. There's a PA speaker on the wall. A lighted sign says exit. Gabriel's in one of the lecture halls at Tulane University. The podium, Hartridge's throne. Gabriel isn't in the mood to give a lecture. Dr. Hartridge is sharp-eyed and even sharper-tongued. When he condescends to look at Gabriel at all, it is with a dismissive glare. Gabriel isn't in the mood to give a lecture.
Are you a student?
No. My name is Knight. Gabriel Knight.
Well, you've already interrupted and slept through my lecture, Mr. Knight. I hope you have something worthwhile to do here. If you figure it out, let me know.
What can you tell me about voodoo?
You already sat through my lecture on the subject, Mr. Knight. But perhaps next time you could stay awake and learn something.
What do you know about the voodoo murders?
I've read about them in the papers. I must admit to some interest. But according to the newspapers, the voodoo aspect is faked, so I haven't really pursued it. You know how Americans, especially Hollywood, treat voodoo. I'm sure there are many so-called practitioners out there that have no idea what they're doing or the power they're playing with.
What can you tell me about New Orleans?
I find it interesting to see the occasional fragment of voodoo practices in the everyday culture of New Orleans.
What else can you tell me about New Orleans?
The Catholic Church has always dominated in New Orleans, and its imagery, in turn, has dominated New Orleans voodoo.
What else can you tell me about New Orleans?
If there's more you wish to know, perhaps you should read my books.
Do you know anything about snakes?
I'm not a zoologist, Mr. Knight, but I know all I care to about reptiles.
What can you tell me about St. John's Eve?
It's June 23rd, the feast day of St. John the Baptist. But June 23rd has been a sacred day since the earliest times. Ancient sun worshippers used to roll a flaming wheel down a hill to celebrate the sun's descent on that day.
A burning wheel? Huh. Do you know anything about Marie Laveau?
While I find the colloquial bastardizations of voodoo somewhat interesting, from a sheerly intellectual point of view, there's not a lot of relation between people like Laveau and true voodoo practices.
Do you know anything about animal masks?
As I said in my lecture, which I assume you actually listened to, is that animal masks, totems, are used extensively in most African voodoo religions.
Do you know anything about veves?
If you'd taken notes during my lecture, you wouldn't have to ask.
Tell me about Damballa.
Damballa is one of the major Rada Loa, also known as Damballa Wedo. He is an ancient Dahomean rain god, often represented as a large boa constrictor. Damballa is the most powerful and most violent of the Rada Loa. The Rada Loa are typically benevolent, as opposed, say, to the Patro Loa. He is still worshipped heavily in Haiti. And when voodoo first started in New Orleans, the early conclaves were reportedly based on the worship of the great zombie, the great serpent, Damballa.
Tell me more about Damballa.
I have extensive courses in the Loa running next semester. Perhaps you should take one of those, Mr. Knight.
Tell me about Ogun Badagry.
Ogun Badagry is one of the Patro Loa. The Patro Loa are much more violent than the Rada Loa. Some people believe the Patro Loa originated in Haiti, but I have found some evidence that the Patrolois were African as well, though worshipped only by a small voodoo tribe, and a very bloody one.
Tell me more about Ogun Badagri.
He is a chief nasty, Mr. Knight. He is the spirit of war and destruction.
Tell me about yourself.
All right, Mr. Knight. I'm 35, a fully tenured professor at this university, as well as a fellow at Cambridge. My doctorate was obtained at Syracuse. Yes, Syracuse, in religious studies. I'm an agnostic, but I find human belief systems fascinating. I specialize in African religions because I grew up there. My father was a Protestant missionary. And I am heterosexual, when I practice sex at all, which isn't very often. Any other questions?
Oh, no.
Fine.
I'd really like to know more about you.
There have been several articles written about me, Mr. Knight, as well as blurbs on my book jackets. If you want a biography, read.
Your lecture was terrific.
Oh, you think so? You were snoring so loud I didn't think you'd heard it.
You must travel a lot.
Yes, to Africa mainly.
I'm very interested in voodoo myself right now.
How nice for you.
A flyer advertising Magenta Moonbeam, a local voodooienne. Her parlor is on the corner of Orleans and Dauphine.
Can you tell me anything about this?
No, I'm afraid I can't.
Can you tell me anything about this?
No, I'm afraid I can't.
Looking at the series of crosses, Gabriel can't help but think they have a pattern and meaning he is not comprehending.
Can you tell me anything about this?
No, I've never seen those symbols. Therefore, they're probably meaningless.
Really? Are you sure?
I'm never wrong, Mr. Knight. Therefore, sure is not in my vocabulary.
Is there anything you can tell me about the voodoo aspects of this photograph?
This is a serious voodoo ritual. Nasty stuff.
In what way?
Let's see. I can't make out much detail from this photograph, except for the corpse, of course, but the wound, the face, and what little I can see of the ritual paraphernalia, it reminds me of certain black voodoo practices. Very rare. I've never witnessed them myself, you understand.
Really? Interesting. Thanks. Can you tell me anything about this?
Wow. Interesting. Very interesting. Mind if I copy this?
Be my guest.
Great. I'll be right back. Here you go. You know, this is a fascinating veve. You must tell me all about its origin.
Actually, I was hoping you'd tell me. Can you figure out anything about it from the symbols?
Well, some. That's why I wanted a copy. I want to research the design myself.
Have you heard of the voodoo murders?
No. You're kidding. Really? Then the voodoo is authentic. The newspapers are wrong. Boy, are they wrong.
You think this veve is authentic?
authentic. Mr. Knight, that's like asking if the Mona Lisa is a painting. Tell you what, I'll look into these symbols myself and see what I can learn about the sect that made this. I'll give you a call when I have more information. You are associated with the police, aren't you?
Absolutely. But I'm undercover. You can contact me at St. George's Bookshop in the quarter.
All right. Now, I'd like to get started on this, if you don't mind.
Mind if I pick your brain?
Not if it will get you out of my lecture hall.
Do you know anything about Veves?
I told you I would research it, Mr. Knight. When I have anything concrete, I'll let you know.
Tell me what you mean by black voodoo.
Well, like any religion, the beliefs can tend toward positive or negative ends, can be used for good or evil. Christianity, for example, has its doppelganger, Satanism. Anytime you attempt to set up an icon to explain evil, you invite some warped mind to worship it. The same is true of voodoo. There are those who are drawn by and desire personal power from the darker, bloodier Loa.
Can you give me an example of black voodoo?
All right. There is a very secret, very dark cult in Haiti called the Cult des Morts, Cult of the Dead. Their primary Loa is Papa Nebo, Loa of the cemetery. They practice a particularly disgusting form of necromancy, magic using the dead. They dig up corpses and use their decaying bodies for various spells and curses.
Can you give me another example of black voodoo?
In tribal Africa, there were and still are black bokors, shaman bent toward the dark, who not only practice necromancy, but also human sacrifice.
Is there anything else you can tell me about black voodoo?
Only that if it's being practiced in this city, none of us are safe.
Do you know what Capri Saint-Cor means?
Capri Saint-Cor? Yes, I do. It's a Haitian term, I believe. It's French, and literally translates as goat without horns.
As in a female goat?
No, as in a human sacrifice. Sacrifices in voodoo are usually of the animal variety. Chickens, bulls, goats. If the gods demand a goat without horns, it means a human being.
Tell me more about human sacrifice.
It's very rare. Most voodoo practices do not include human sacrifice as a matter of record, but it is theoretically possible, if that's what the gods demand. For example, one of the chants I had translated for me from a Haitian ritual went like this: Mistress Ezuli, come and aid us. If a cock is demanded, we will give it. If a bull will suffice, behold it. But if a goat without horns is required for sacrifice, oh, where will we find one? Ezuli is the gentlest of Loa, so they call on her for mercy. But I have seen grown and powerful Houngan tremble before a possession by one of the more violent Loa, such as Papa Nebo. Clearly, they are afraid that something of the sort will be ordered, or that Loa will simply take it for themselves.
What was that translation for Capri Saint-Cor again?
It's French, and literally translates as goat without horns.
What was that translation for Capri Saint-Cor again?
It's French, and literally translates as goat without horns.
Tell me more about human sacrifice.
I wouldn't dwell on it. Most voodoo sects probably haven't seen a human sacrifice for several generations.
What was that translation for Capri Saint-Cor again?
It's French, and literally translates as goat without horns.
Gabriel isn't.
Up for a few more questions?
Gee, I'd love to.
Can you tell me anything about this?
No, I'm afraid I can't.
Can you tell me anything about this?
No, I'm afraid I can't.
Gabriel is carrying... Gabriel looks...
Can you tell me anything about this?
No, I'm afraid I can't.
The door to Hartridge's office is locked. The door to Hartridge's office is locked.
I'll be going.
Oh, do keep in touch.
Gabriel stands at the door of an old quarter residence. The neighborhood is a little shabby, but this particular building is freshly painted. Tall windows flank the front of the mansion.
Yes? Who is it?
I've got some great pet supplies. Coochie coochie coo, little doggy.
Castro has everything he needs. Don't you, Castro?
Thanks a lot, Castro.
Yes? Who is it?
I have some fine magazine subscriptions for sale.
I am sorry, I am not interested. Yes? Who is it?
Land Shark.
You are no Bill Murray. Yes? Who is it?
Hi, I'm doing an article on voodoo, and I heard that you are...
I'm a good Catholic young man. Take your evil influence elsewhere.
But I just have a few questions.
I can feel the evil eye. Go away. Yes? Who is it?
Please let me talk to you, Madam Casino.
I do not talk to strangers, young man. Yes? who is it?
Hi, I'm doing an article on voodoo, and I heard that you are...
I told you no. This house is under the protection of the saints. Now, go away! Yes? Who is it?
Wrong house. Never mind.
Fine, good day.
All right, but this is private.
It's Father Gabriel.
You've already got me, you lucky devil. Don't get personal. It's Father McLaughlin to see you.
Yes? Who is it?
It's Father McLaughlin to see you.
Father McLaughlin, you say? You must be new in the parish. I'm so pleased to meet you, Father. Do come in.
Thank you, my child.
Please be seated, Father.
Thank you.
Now, what can I do for you?
The painting behind the couch is a Madonna and Child. It's a painting of a pretty young lady in old-fashioned clothes.
Madam in younger days?
Good heavens, no, Father.
Madam in younger days?
Good heavens, no, Father.
The upholstered chair is less comfortable than it looks. Castro, cute as a flea on a piece of fruit.
Nice doggy. Good Castro.
Castro. Madame Casino looks fragile and pale under a thick layer of face powder. If Gabriel's not mistaken, she's a slice short of a loaf. Madame Casino would not appreciate that. Gabriel's impersonating a priest. The tea service has been polished recently. Madame uses it with her Creole sisters, perhaps. If Madame wants to serve tea, she'll do the pouring. A low wooden coffee table sits in front of the sofa. There's an old-fashioned jewelry box on the coffee table. Father McLaughlin would never steal from one of his flock. The sofa is velvet, and it is wearing nearly as much of Madame Casino's face powder as Madame is herself. That looks a little large to carry around. Madame's parlor is full of carefully dusted and polished relics of her past. An old table lamp with a fringed shade gives off what little light there is in the parlor. The plant looks healthy. despite Gabriel's vague impression that Castro makes great use of it. Madam's parlor is full of... It's a large antique cabinet. It's probably worth something. Madam would think Father McLaughlin was suspiciously snoopy if Gabriel did that. Father McLaughlin... Madam finds comfort in these iconic images, it seems. Madam seems to like candles. Gabriel wonders if these too are specialties of Mr. Walker's shop. Gabriel's already imitating a priest. One act at a time, please. Madame Casano is paranoid and fearful enough without showing her that graphic photograph.
Does this mean anything to you?
No, Father, it does not.
Does this mean anything to you?
No, Father, it does not.
Does this mean anything to you?
No, Father, it does not.
Does this mean anything to you?
No, Father, it does not.
Does this mean anything to you?
No, Father, it does not.
Does this mean anything to you?
No, Father.
It's a piece of brick. Madam Cat...
Do you mind if I ask you a few questions, my child?
Of course not, mon père.
What can you tell me about voodoo?
People think I'm just a foolish old woman, but I know the things they do. My family's been in New Orleans since 1750, so I know more than most. Voodoo people are all over the city, in the shops, everywhere. They'll curse you like that, and most people don't even notice. Spit on your bread at the bakery. Take strands of your hair at the store when you try on clothes. Oh, you have to be so careful. But I know their ways, so I can protect myself. I know how to use the magic too, and I can counteract their evil spells.
Tell me more about voodoo in New Orleans.
It's just plain evil. It's dangerous to even discuss it.
What do you know about the voodoo murders?
Voodoo murders? Ah, they are nothing new to me, Father. They happen all the time. I hardly go out anymore. It's too dangerous in the streets. They can get you anywhere, you know, even here in this room. But I try not to let them know about me. That's the best way.
What else do you know about the voodoo murders?
Shh! They'll hear you.
What can you tell me about New Orleans?
The only true New Orleans are of French origin, you know. My family were among the original settlers of New Orleans. They came here from France. The Creole society used to be so gay in New Orleans. Now it barely hangs on by its fingernails.
Do you know anything about snakes?
Snakes, they're evil creatures. Did you know that evil people can send them into your dreams? They can. That's why I never sleep.
Right, thanks. Do you know anything else about snakes?
It would be bad luck to talk about that anymore.
What can you tell me about St. John's Eve?
Oh, St. John's Eve, mais oui. I used to love the St. John's Eve Mass at St. Louis Cathedral. Of course, it is also a night of great wickedness, worse than All Hallows Eve. They will corrupt anything, Father.
They? They who?
Oh, you know.
What else can you tell me about St. John's Eve?
I don't think I should say any more about that.
Do you know anything about Marie Laveau?
Oh, her. I could tell you about her. Voodoo Queen? Ah, my great-grandmother was an acolyte of Marie Laveau. She knows the truth about her.
Tell me more about Marie Laveau.
No, I won't say anything more. Not to you, Father. I'm sure you mean well, but you are an outsider.
Tell me more about Marie Laveau.
She was only a front for the real evildoers, Father. And that's the truth about Marie Laveau.
Do you know anything about animal masks?
No, Father. I don't know anything about that.
Do you know anything about Vevis?
No, Father. I don't know anything about that.
Do you know anything about black voodoo?
Oh, yes, Father. It is the wickedest kind. The kind they practice here in New Orleans.
Have you ever heard of Damballa?
No, Father. I don't know anything about that.
Does the name Ogun Badagri mean anything to you?
No, Father. I don't know anything about that.
Tell me about yourself.
Me? I am Creole. My family has been in New Orleans for over 200 years. Real New Orleanians are French, you see. These days, the city is overrun with people with no heritage at all. No offense, Father, but it's true. But the French, naturellement, will always be the true blood of New Orleans.
Tell me about yourself.
Well, Father, I don't know what else to say.
It's so nice of you to invite me in.
But no, mon père. I am always happy to see one of the good fathers.
Do you find the weather to your liking?
It's terribly humid. I only go out in the morning and the evening.
What a delightful little dog you have.
Ah, yes, Castro is my boon companion.
Aren't you a member of the Creole Grand Arms?
Why, yes. We do much charitable work in the community, you know.
Have you been attending Mass regularly, my child?
Oh, yes, Father. I attend Mass every morning. Many don't these days, you know.
You're dedicated, madam. Do you have any idea what caprice encore means?
Maybe. I know. I bet you do not know, Father, n'est-ce pas?
It means goat without horns.
Father, you surprised me. You do know what it means. You know what they mean by goat without horns, don't you? A human being. That's right. Slit your throat, cut out your heart. Pure evil murder.
Do you know anything about human sacrifice here in New Orleans?
Well, my great-grandma there could tell stories. She saw it. People say that sort of thing wasn't done in New Orleans, but the real voodoo queens did it. Oh, yes.
Who are the real voodoo queens?
Well, my great-grandma there told me that Laveau was just a front, a flamboyant decoy. She distracted authorities from the real voodoo queen of New Orleans. It's been the same one for almost 200 years. She's head of a secret voodoo enfant. That's what they call their temples, you know. It's so secret, most of the voodoo people in the city don't even know about it. The real voodoo queen controlled Laveau, gave her a little bit of power, and used her like a puppet.
Tell me more about this secret voodoo hound for.
Well, I've never seen it. I wouldn't go near it if you bade me. But it's here in New Orleans, I guarantee it. I hear their drums at night, oh yes. That's why I'm so ill, I tell you, those drums. But we shouldn't talk about it. They'll hear us. It's the devil's work that happens there, I can tell you. I'll show you something secret. You mustn't tell anyone, Father.
I swear on my collar.
Here it is, mon père. A true object of evil if ever there was one.
It radiates something, all right.
It belonged to my great-grandmother. She told my mother that it was a token to gain entrance to the real voodoo ceremonies.
You don't say.
To tell you the truth, I've always felt nervous about having it in the house. You know, evil influence and all.
I can see how you would, yes.
And yet, I could never part with it. It's been in the family for generations. Would you bless it for me, Father? I feel strange asking such a thing of you, but surely you understand.
Bless this bracelet of a snake. Even though its vibes aren't great, let it do nobody harm when they wear it on their arm. Voodoo spirits, go away. Don't come back another day. And now let us pray.
It's a bracelet in the shape of a snake. It's a bracelet in the shape of a snake. It's a bracelet.
Can I see that snake bracelet again? I'm not sure the first blessing took, and I'd like to re-bless it.
All right. I do admire your thoroughness, Father. Here's the bracelet, Father.
Bless this bracelet of a snake. Even though its vibes aren't great, let it do nobody harm when they wear it on their arm. Voodoo spirits, go away. Don't come back another day. And now let us pray. Tell me more about this secret voodoo hound for.
I told you we shouldn't talk about it.
Can you tell me anything else about human sacrifice?
What is to tell? They cut your heart out.
Is there anything else you can remember about the real voodoo queen?
Well, My great-grandmother said the real voodoo queen was the most beautiful woman on earth. She had the most incredible copper-colored skin.
Is there anything else you can remember about the real voodoo queen?
Well, they're all brides of Satan. Other than that, I can't think of anything.
Can I see that snake bracelet again? I'm not sure the first blessing took, and I'd like to re-bless it.
All right. I do admire your thoroughness, Father. Here's the bracelet, Father.
Bless this bracelet of a snake, even though it let it do when the voodoos don't come. And now let her.
There's no point in using that on the bracelet. Gabriel has a thought about the clay.
Bless, oh bless this circlet of silver. Take the curse, oh take it, Wilbur.
A lovely blessing, mon père.
Yes, I think it made a lasting impression. Here you go.
I feel so much better now.
It's a clay mold of Madame Casanau's snake bracelet.
Do you mind if I ask you a few more questions, madam?
If you wish, Father.
Bless you, my child.
Bless you, Father McLaughlin.
Gabriel won't be needing that disguise again.
I'm not going back on the street looking like this. Hello, Dr. John.
Glad you could return to us, Mr. Knight.
There's no reason to wear that at the moment.
Does this pattern look familiar to you?
Where did you get that?
You do recognize it then?
I have never seen it before in my life.
Are you sure about this pattern?
I am sure, Mr. Knight.
Are you sure you don't recognize anything about the ritual in this photo?
I told you, sir. That has nothing to do with voodoo.
Right. Sorry. Does this mean anything to you?
I cannot say that it does.
Why would Dr. John be interested in that scale? Perhaps Gabriel should learn more about the scale before showing it to anyone.
Could I ask you some more questions?
Of course. I also find our dialogue stimulating.
Do you know anything about a secret voodoo houndfall?
Don't be ridiculous, Mr. Knight. The voodoo churches in the city have no need for secrecy.
What can you tell me about St. John's Eve?
It is one of the important ceremonial nights in voodoo.
What else can you tell me about St. John's Eve?
I am afraid I do not know the origins of St. John's Eve. I only know that it was a night of ritual long before voodoo came to New Orleans.
Do you know what caprice and call means?
I fear my French is not all it should be, Mr. Knight.
Have you ever heard of Damballa?
Of course. It is one of the Loa.
What can you tell me about the Loa Damballa?
Damballa is a snake Loa. It originated in Africa and is also worshipped heavily in Haiti, I believe.
Do you worship Damballa?
Mr. Knight, in voodoo, all of the Loa are given their due respect.
What else can you tell me about the Loa Damballa?
I am afraid I have little else to say about that subject.
Does the name Ogun Badagri mean anything to you?
I do not believe so.
Isn't he one of the Loa?
Perhaps. I am not familiar with some of the more obscure Haitian and African Loa.
Are you sure you don't know anything about Ogun Badagri?
Quite sure, Mr. Knight.
Do you know anything about Veves?
I believe they have something to do with Haitian voodoo, but that is not really my area.
Do you know anything else about Veves?
I am afraid I have little else to say about that subject.
Do you know anything about animal masks?
I used to have some antique African totem masks, but they were on the point of disintegration, so I removed them.
Are you sure you can't educate me further about animal masks?
Unfortunately, I do not know much about totem masks. The practice was more African than American, and that is not my area of expertise.
Okay, thanks. Do you know anything about black voodoo?
That sort of viewpoint makes my work very difficult, Mr. Knight. If there are one or two ignorant believers, that is none of my concern. And I do not care to promote a Hollywood interpretation of voodoo by discussing it.
You really don't know anything about black voodoo practices?
I believe I already indicated my intolerance for that line of inquiry.
Tell me about yourself.
What more can I tell you?
Actually, I can't think of a thing.
Then let us discuss something else.
Hi. Could you look at this bracelet mold and tell me if you've ever seen anything like it before?
No, man. I don't know nothing about that.
Do you recognize this pattern?
Don't look familiar at all, monsieur.
Do you know anything about snake scales?
I got some snake root and snake powder, but I order them wholesale. I don't handle snakes. I don't like them at all.
Do you know anything about snake scales?
I got some...
Do you know anything about these crosses? I think there's some kind of code.
Look like a lot of hand tracks to me, man.
Would you mind taking a look at this photograph?
Gabriel.
Gabriel? What does that mean?
Nothing, man. I didn't say nothing like that. You heard me wrong, man.
Does this mean anything to you?
I don't know anything about that at all.
Does this mean anything to you?
I don't know anything about that at all.
Can I ask you just a few more questions?
Whatever, man.
Can you tell me what you know about voodoo?
This is a novelty shop, monsieur.
You think I'm stupid? This is a voodoo shop. Look at all this stuff.
These is novelties, curiosities. If people want to think they magic, it's not my concern, you know?
Are you telling me that you own a voodoo shop, but you know nothing about voodoo practices?
Ça n'est pas affaire blanc.
What does that mean?
It means you should mind your own business, monsieur.
Look, I'm researching voodoo for a book.
I don't have your answers, me. You want to buy something, monsieur?
I found out what Cabri-Sanko means. How did you know about human sacrifice?
I never said them words, monsieur. You must have heard them from someone else.
What do you think of Nolans?
I live here all my life, me.
What do you think of Nolans?
If you're not from around here, monsieur, you should sign up for some tours.
Do you know anything about snakes?
What kind of snakes?
The kind they use in voodoo?
Pythons, boas, so I've heard.
Really? Do you have one?
Are you crazy? What would I want with a python?
Do you know anything about a secret voodoo houndfall?
There's no such thing. Not around here.
Do you know anything about black voodoo?
Black voodoo? No such thing, I tell you for sure.
What do you know about Marie Laveau?
Marie? She's somebody from the old days. One of them old folk tales. The tourists eat it up, no?
What else do you know about Marie Laveau?
I don't know much, monsieur. Someone at the Voodoo Museum can tell you all about her.
What else do you know about Marie Laveau?
I don't know much, monsieur. Someone at the Voodoo Museum can tell you all about her.
What else do you know about Marie Laveau?
I don't...
Does the name Ogun Badagri mean anything to you?
Don't talk like that around here, man.
Do you know anything about veves?
Like the ones in the voodoo rituals they do for the tourists?
Right.
They curiosities, no? This a curio shop.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting. Have you ever heard of Damballa?
Damballa is an African legend about a great serpent. Folklore, that's all.
Tell me about yourself.
My name's Willie Walker. I own the place.
How did you get into this kind of business?
Now, why should I discuss my business with you, man?
So, this is a voodoo store, huh?
Voodoo? No, man. This is a curio shop. Things you see here from local folklore. None of it real, I tell you for sure.
What about all these magic oils and powders you're selling? Aren't they a part of voodoo?
Read the label, man. We make no claims. Sold as curio only. It mean what it say, no? These are novelties, not voodoo.
So, do you get many tourists in here?
We, all the time. They want to buy a bottle of money-drawn oil or wang a bag to take home with them.
How's business?
About like always.
I'm a businessman too. I own a bookstore here in the corner.
I don't really care, me. I got a store to run.
Have you always lived in New Orleans?
My papa, and his papa, and his papa, all the way back to the days of Marie Laveau, we've been living here.
So, does any of this stuff actually work?
You crazy, man? These are just curios, novelties for the tourists.
Nice weather we're having.
Don't bother me. Can't you see I'm busy? St. John Eve coming. I got to be ready.
Would you take 50 for Willie Jr.?
Don't insult me, monsieur. The price is $120.
What? You said you'd sell it for 100 before.
You misheard, monsieur. The price was always 120.
Would you take 50 for Willie Jr.?
Don't insult me, monsieur. The price is $120.
What?
You misheard, monsieur. The price was always 120.
I knew you'd miss me, so I came back.
Really? I forgot you were gone.
Got a minute, Grace?
What's up?
Does the name Ogun Badagri mean anything to you?
Ugh, no. Makes my skin crawl, though.
Have you ever heard of Damballa?
No, sorry.
Do you know anything about veves?
Not a clue. Sorry.
Ritual patterns used in voodoo.
Fascinating. I can't help you out, though.
Do you know anything about a secret voodoo houndfall?
In New Orleans?
I think so.
No, I don't, but it sounds dangerous. You're not gonna try to find this voodoo group yourself, are you?
Would I do that? Do you know anything about black voodoo?
Black voodoo? Ugh, now what are you getting yourself into?
Nothing you need to know about, do you?
I know there are dark forms of any major religion. Where there's a yin, there's a yang.
Speaking of yin and yang...
But no, I don't know anything really about voodoo, dark or otherwise, sorry.
Are you sure you don't know anything about black voodoo?
You are desperate. I told you I can't help you.
Do you have messages for me?
Nope, none right now.
Tell me about yourself, Grace.
What do you want to know?
Nothing, I guess. Never mind. Could you do some research for me?
Sure, what?
I have a pattern I need you to research.
How interesting. What is it?
It's a reconstruction of the tracings they found around the murder victims. The ones done in flour and blood.
Yuck. You shouldn't carry this kind of thing around. Who knows what these symbols mean?
Well, wear your evil banishing gloves if you want, but check it out for me, would you?
I'll see what I can find out. Anything else?
I can't think of anything. Could you do some research for me?
Do you have messages for me?
Nope, none right now.